Iran just attacked a U.S. warship. What happens next? That is the claim broadcast by the IRGC on April 4th, 2026. They said two missiles a direct hit, an American vessel struck. Within hours, the claim was everywhere. But here is what is verified. No U.S. Navy ship was hit. Not one. So why did Iran broadcast a strike that never happened? And what does it signal about what is coming next? At 2:15 a.m. on April 4th, 2026, Iranian state radio interrupted regular programming with a declaration from the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. The statement was precise. 4 ballistic missiles launched. A United States supercarrier in the Strait of Hormuz struck. Within 3 minutes, Iranian state television pushed out animated graphics, arcing missile trajectories, red target icons over a silhouette labeled USS Abraham Lincoln. Overlays flashed with the words, direct hit. Hashtags in Farsi and English began trending across Telegram, X, and Instagram. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps media wing clipped footage from old naval drills, spliced it with fast-cut edits of missile launches, and looped the carrier's profile against a dramatic score. In less than 10 minutes, the claim was echoed by dozens of Iranian news agencies, each layering on new details, crew casualties, burning flight decks, and a supposed radio distress call. Share counters on social feeds ticked upward, tens of thousands of reposts, hundreds of thousands of views. Pro-Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps influencers posted memes and infographics, framing the event as a turning point. On YouTube, a compilation video stitched together news segments, dramatic graphics, and a digital countdown to victory. The pace of amplification outstripped any formal verification. By sunrise in Tehran, the story had traveled far beyond Iran's borders, picked up by regional affiliates, and shared in WhatsApp groups across the Gulf. But the original source remained the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps information arm. No raw footage, no geolocated images, no independent confirmation. The mechanics of the broadcast and its viral spread reveal how quickly an unverified narrative can seize the world's attention in the fog of conflict. Within hours of the Iranian claim, U.S. Central Command issued a categorical denial. Their statement was unambiguous. No U.S. Navy vessel had been struck, and the USS Abraham Lincoln continued normal flight operations. That denial was echoed across official channels, from Department of Defense press releases to public-facing social media. No images surfaced showing damage, no deck footage revealed chaos, and not a single independent journalist or sailor reported injuries or impact. Instead, the only visuals circulating were digital mock-ups and recycled footage from past exercises, none bearing the hallmarks of real-time documentation. Verification efforts extended beyond words. Radar logs and missile tracking data, referenced by CENTCOM spokespeople, confirmed that the missiles failed to approach the carrier. Maritime tracking platforms monitoring the automatic identification system registered no deviation in the Lincoln's course, no emergency maneuvers, no sudden stops. Commercial satellite imagery, reviewed by independent analysts, showed clear weather and an undisturbed vessel at the reported coordinates. There was no plume, no smoke, no evidence of any strike. This forensic approach, cross-referencing radar, automatic identification system data, and satellite images, forms the backbone of modern incident validation. CENTCOM public affairs officers, accustomed to the information battle space, emphasized that any real damage to a nuclear-powered carrier would be impossible to hide. The absence of physical evidence, combined with transparent operational logs, left little doubt. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps narrative did not withstand scrutiny. The urgency of truth in these moments is rooted in history. 45 years earlier, the 1979 U.S. Embassy siege in Tehran ignited the animosity that still shapes today's conflict. 52 Americans were held hostage for 444 days, a crisis that froze diplomatic ties and set the stage for decades of suspicion and confrontation. That legacy lingers, sharpening the stakes and making the search for verified fact, not rumor, essential whenever new claims arise. Project Freedom began with a public announcement on May 4th, 2026, as United States Central Command activated Joint Task Force Hormuz to restore the safe movement of commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. Under a presidential directive, the operation set out clear priorities: convoy escort, persistent surveillance, and direct coordination with shipowners and flag states. The United States Navy committed a formidable mix of assets: guided missile destroyers like the USS Carney for close-in defense, an aircraft carrier strike group for air cover, and a constant rotation of P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft and MQ-9 Reaper drones for intelligence and early warning. Logistics ships and special warfare teams supported these efforts around the clock. The command structure placed CENTCOM at the top, with JTF Hormuz running day-to-day convoy scheduling and maritime domain awareness from a dedicated operations center. Within the first 10 days, 2 American flag tankers and a container ship were safely escorted through the strait, with crew and cargo intact. United States commanders credited layered defenses and real-time data sharing for deterring hostile action and reassuring commercial operators. Project Freedom's visible presence, warships on the horizon and unmanned aerial vehicles overhead, sent a clear message: the waterway would remain open for business, even under threat. A United States boarding team, clad in ballistic vests and carrying sidearms, climbed the ladder of the Iranian-flagged tanker Al-Quds on the morning of May 3, 2026. The ship's manifest listed crude oil and refined diesel, both flagged by United States authorities as revenue sources for the IRGC. Photographs released by the Navy showed barrels marked Kerosene 5000 stacked in the cargo hold. The boarding was conducted under the authority of United States sanctions, with reference to United Nations Resolution 2216, but without a Security Council mandate for a formal blockade. The crew was detained for questioning, and the vessel redirected to a holding area outside Iranian territorial waters. Tehran's foreign ministry condemned the action as piracy, calling it illegal interference with free navigation. Iranian media amplified the charge, warning of reprisals against any ship participating in United States-led enforcement. For the boarding teams, the operation was methodical, checking cargo, logging serial numbers, and relaying updates to the operations center. Each seizure became a tangible pressure point in the broader standoff, signaling that United States forces would not allow sanctioned cargo to pass unchallenged. The risk of escalation grew with every intercepted ship as Iran's rhetoric sharpened and the legal boundaries of maritime enforcement blurred. Iran's approach to maritime confrontation rarely involves open battle. Instead, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps relies on a set of tactics designed to slow or intimidate shipping without triggering a direct clash. Patrol boats, often operating in small groups, issue radio warnings to commercial vessels, demanding route changes or threatening inspection. These warnings tend to spike during periods of heightened tension, with ship captains logging dozens of IRGC hailings in a single week. Automatic identification system data offers a window into the effect, and on March 23, 2026, vessel movements through the Strait of Hormuz dropped by 70% within 48 hours of an Iranian announcement about a temporary closure. Satellite tracking confirmed tankers and bulk carriers drifting at anchor, waiting for permission to proceed. In some cases, ships reported being shadowed by fast attack craft or forced to idle while IRGC personnel circled with cameras and loudspeakers. The discovery of a mine-like device near the southern traffic lane in early March, quickly neutralized by Iranian Navy divers, added to the sense of uncertainty. Tehran's message is clear. Commercial flow depends on its approval. The fragility of these shipping lanes, exposed by even minor acts of harassment or delay, underlines just how vulnerable global trade can be to asymmetric pressure in a narrow waterway. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway, just 29 nautical miles wide at its tightest point, wedged between the Iranian coast and the Muzandam Peninsula of Oman. Two carefully marked shipping lanes, each about 12 nautical miles across, guide tankers and cargo ships through waters that drop to 80 meters deep, enough to handle the world's largest oil carriers, but with little margin for error. Every day, roughly 20 million barrels of crude oil and condensates flow through this corridor, representing nearly a fifth of global consumption, with more than 150 commercial vessels transiting on a typical day. Even a brief slowdown can strand billions of dollars worth of cargo. The entire world economy relies on this single stretch of water. Its geography turns a local dispute into a global risk, exposing energy markets and supply chains to any disruption in these lanes. War risk insurance. Premiums for ships crossing the Strait of Hormuz have jumped by nearly 1/3 since March. Lloyd's underwriters now quote, bulk carrier rates are up 30%. And container lines face surcharges of $2,500 per TEU, costs that ripple through fuel prices, freight rates, and consumer goods worldwide. Insurers flag the uncertainty. Each new missile claim, even unverified, pushes rates higher and prompts some carriers to idle ships or reroute around Africa. Markets watch three main triggers: a confirmed strike on a U.S. warship, a full closure of the strait, or a large-scale attack on oil terminals. Each would unleash a wave of premium hikes, drive oil above $100 a barrel, and threaten global supply chains. U.S. planners weigh their options: layered missile defense, a rapid response by carrier groups, and targeted economic sanctions are among the measures they are preparing to use if any red line is crossed. Today, verified fact stands apart from wartime propaganda. No U.S. warship has been struck, yet each claim, true or false, shapes global markets and military risks. As Project Freedom and the Strait of Hormuz remain flashpoints, the reality behind the headlines now determines our next crisis. What is your perspective?